Let me start the recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's ODTN use case steering call. Fortunately, I forgot to send a reminder. I sent it a little bit late, so sorry for those of you who didn't get it and thought there was no call. We had no calls for the past 2 weeks because of other meetings and other discussion I had to make and had to have. The first week I was at OFC in San Diego, and the second one I was at OCP in San Jose. So in San Diego, it went very well. The demo we showed at the demo zone, thanks to Telefonica, which had the two Nokia transponders and the ADVA open line system, was working. We had the final integration on Friday before the show, but we were capable of issuing the two TAPI connectivity requests, one for the line side to line side, the other one for the cross connection inside the transponders, and be able from the two Nokia transponders to make the cross connection, tune the wavelength, establish a service. Connectivity service inside the open line system through TAPI 2.1 on the ADVA open line system and pass the traffic through. So that was a very good success. I think a lot of people were interested in that and in our proceedings in the ODTN project. Unfortunately, I did not show it in a 3-node environment. That was my goal, but the set of things that I had to do to make the final integration did not enable me to do enough testing on the 3-node instance to consider it to be stable. Although I do have the patch and it's almost there to be pushed. There are a few fixes that needs to be made, and then I can push the patch for distributed use of ODTN. Basically, what that does is it needs. Well, I can talk about this a little bit later. So that demo was a big success. Arturo, I think you might have a recording of that. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, I couldn't record it because I couldn't sync up with the ADVA guys and the data plane was not active in their side. And although I captured some traffic between the ONOS controller and so on, I didn't have like the whole demo set up ready, and I couldn't
I
make
see.
the recording. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that. I
Um,
have just some captures of the honors when you like you configure the controllers and the OLS and also the links between the transponders, and also have the traffic capture about that. But I don't have like the data plane. Yeah, like
okay.
all the process.
One question: would it be possible to reestablish um, the deployment with the Nokia transponders, or those gone forever and we will not have access to them anymore?
Well, they gone. I probably are assuming that if we have something, I mean, like a justification to bring them back, it will be possible. But at least from now, it will be difficult to have it in the
Uh,
short term.
But
But
are they at the Nokia? So who took them back? Just for me to understand, is that Nokia or is that?
the Nokia local team, because they need it for another activity. So I could potentially talk with Dominic and
Yeah, that would
push
be my
him
suggestion.
to. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's possible. It's just that, yeah, maybe they need to claim internally in Nokia, and they will. Because the problem is that the hardware was here in Telefonica for two activities in parallel, and when the first one concluded, that it was a little bit more, I don't know, visible internally regarding the Mobile World Congress and so on, it was a little bit more difficult for us to keep the hardware here. But I think that if I talk with Dominic, it will be possible to have them back in the short term.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that. to talk to them, we need to set up again the hardware. Or the worst case is that we might look into doing it with other hardware that you have available. Because I think the point of this demo is not really about the transponders, but it's more about the OLS. So having an end-to-end with the OLS included.
Yeah, yeah. What we have some interest of other vendors that wanted to test their open terminal solution
Okay,
with us,
such as.
especially CTE was like I mean it's um, providing us some information about the solution, and we are in the moment of evaluating that. In case they were able to to perform the workflow that we are doing in ODTN, I probably would like to invite them to join this activity, and probably we can
Sure.
use them.
Can you share the name
So
or not?
yeah, the name of the vendor is CTE.
Oh, ZTE. I see. I see. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had a relationship with them, which is comes and goes. So I know that they're doing some work with ODTN, and I've sent them uh, material on how to integrate their transponder with the ODTN use case. It's just that it's a
Hmm.
very difficult. It's a very difficult interaction with the development team because it's China based, and
Hmm.
the interaction with the development team is somewhat hard. But I know that they are involved, and I think they do understand what they need to do to integrate it. So let's see
Hmm.
how that goes. Please keep me in touch.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Keep updated.
I will. Sure.
Okay. Um, okay, then that was. I think that went very well. We will try to record it and share it in order to put a fixed point in time again, as we did for phase 1.0, or replicate it somehow. Either at the ADVA lab or either at the ONF lab, we'll see. But try to replicate it, get a recording, and share that. So that was very good. The other one we had with ODTN was at the Telecom Infra Project booth, where we were controlling the two Cassini devices, not just managing the cross connection, but also tuning the wavelength on the two devices. Also, that went very well, I think, and it was very good in terms of outreach for the project. Um, a lot of people came ask questions about the software, about the solution, about the partners, especially NTT and Telefonica. I was able to spoke to Victor from Telefonica and a few of your colleagues, Hiroki from NTT. So that was very good. We were also showcasing the value of TIE, the transponder abstraction interface, which is very good from a open source perspective. So there was good traction at the booth too. And the wavelength assignment and the path computation worked were flawlessly. I was also very happy at OFC to meet some of the key contributors to the project that I've never seen before, such as Ramon. And we also discussed a few future steps on how to do a few things. I think that for now we might wait a little bit to share those because those are technical details that I'll discuss about in the Jira stories maybe later on how to do things. Okay, so I think that was very good. Another good point from that demo setup is that the demo rack from the Telecom Infra project, it had two Lumentum RODUMs, RODUM 20s, that were not managed in the demo, but the last day before tearing down the rack, I was able with Alessio Giorgetti from CNIT in Pisa, that is also contributor to the ODTM project. I was able to make them run with ONOS and establish end-to-end connectivity across also the RODUMs and not only the open line system. So I think that was also a very good one. We were lucky that we had already the drivers in ONOS for these RODUMs from a previous project and from Alessio's work. So we will need just a few adjustments to the drivers themselves of these momentum RODMs to have also at least within these RODMs control of those devices. And I think we might want to show them in a collaboration with TIP for the next few conferences. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. Next steps and conferences. Okay. From other important relationships that I had, I mean, I met the ADVA team that was able to work with us for the open line system, and I am in talks with them on how to further extend the demo and further extend the implementation and the support, further make it better, basically. A very good element that we had at OFC was the announcement of the collaboration with the Telecom Infra project. That came in the form of Victor Lopez from Telefonica and me, basically sharing the stage during Thursday, and Victor setting the argument about the collaboration between TIP and ONF, and me explaining a few things about this collaboration, especially how it started with the Cassini box and how it will go further. And another good discussion that came out of that meeting was that I met with Vittorio Curri and his team. That team is the group of people behind GMPY, which is the planning tool that TIP has to optimize and plan a network based on a certain set of parameters. So I briefly discussed with them during OFC about the possibility of bringing GNPy, which right now is a completely offline tool, which means that you punch in the numbers in a spreadsheet. GNPy reads the spreadsheet, computes some data, and then gives it back to you in some form. I discussed with Vittorio and his team, which is from Polytechnic of Turin, which, by the way, is very close to my house, in like an hour and a half drive, maybe two. On how to bring it online through TAPI. So what we will do is that we will probably organize a meeting at their facility in order for us to take a look closer to TAPI and to what it needs and what GNPy needs from ONOS to be capable of computing optimization. And then after that optimization is computed, what GNPy will do is will take that optimized path and send it down through ONOS with connectivity services. I think that's a very good. That would be a very good announcement to the project if we are able to achieve that in order to compute properly. Because in this way we are basically offloading completely the path computation and the at least consideration of some parameters such as power and such as computation against OSNR and optical impairments that in this way, if we use their tool, we don't have to deal with internally in ONOS, which I think is a very good element. So they have a pretty good team working on it, and I think that and they were very interested in bringing it online. So I think that's a very good next step. Any questions? No. Okay. So I think that's another very good next step that we can take on. The other one that I discussed with basically everybody in present at OFC was the power configuration. And Arturo, I wasn't not able to follow what is the state of our proposal in TAPI. Can you give us a little bit of an update on that? Arturo? I think Arturo is muted. In the meantime, let me actually do what I was planning to do, which is the next steps in the conference. So, as I said, I think power configuration and power computation is one big next step that we need to take. and that is the next technical thing that we need to achieve. From an implementation perspective, the next steps is to record phase 1.5 demo somehow, either with Telefonica setup, setup at Adva, setup at Bring Up, setup at ONF or something, and thus putting a point in time where we had phase 1.5, release ODTN 1.0. This is an important thing that I was discussing with many people at OFC, is that we should have an official release of the code base stating exactly what it works at that point. And my take is that that release should happen after we finish the power configuration, because, I mean, we could do it before, but while we do the power configuration, I will make sure that the bug fixes and improvements are done. So we have a stable platform, and thanks to Buyan also, who is an internet ONF, we're creating the tests to make sure that everything works every time and make sure that there is no regression. So we will use those to make sure that the platform is stable. From a conference perspective and a demo perspective, I think that we can target ECOC. First is ONF Connect, ECOC, and TIP Summit for the next ODTN demo. They are around the same time. ONF Connect, if I'm not mistaken, is the 13th to the 15th of September. ECOC is 24th something of September, around that date, while the TIP Summit is 8 to 9 of October. So what I would like to do is at ONF Connect show the demo with OpenLine system, and maybe if we can, OpenLine system and RODUMs together. That's something that I need to explore. At ECOC, since the hardware will probably be shipped from the TIP lab in London, it will be the Cassini devices and probably a set of RODUMs, and the same hardware will be used for TIP Summit. What I would like to show again is the same demo with power, and if possible, this is probably targetable for the TIP Summit, GNPY integration. That I need to discuss with the GNPY team. So this is kind of some of the next milestones that I think we should take. Any thoughts, any comments?
Yes, Andrea. Maybe in the next ballot, you are going to introduce this topic discussion about the next release candidate of the TAPI 2.2.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that additionally to the power management, I also would like to know if, I mean, which will be the, in terms of signal integrity validation, if this is something that is also going to be considered for the next phase. I mean, I would like to not delete this or let's say completely remove this from the discussion topic, like OSMR validation, for instance, and to it is something that I introduced into the discussion in the previous release, and I would like also to introduce it in this one in order to move on as well with this part.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I need to talk more with GNPY guys with their optical tool that they have, and need to look into it more. But I think that could be very useful for us because, as I was saying before, it could remove some of this computation from ONOS itself and give it to an outside engine which is already optimized for path computation, and then it will tell ONOS the path to take with the proper parameters.
That's perfect. The only question I have is if, well, question no, more or less I'm aware that the TAP is not yet prepared for exporting maybe the relevant data that the GNMP algorithms needs in order to perform this computation.
Yeah.
That's why I would like to reopen the debate, because there is some missing parameters regarding OSNR and power density and so on that they should be introduced in TAPI in order to have this source of data in order to perform the path computation
Yeah, no, no,
later, either in ONOS or in GMPI, whatever.
no, I fully agree with you, Arturo. That what I need to do is that I need to look into GNPy a little bit more to understand what parameters it needs to compute this end-to-end element and this end-to-end path according to OSNR and like other optical impairments that they can take care of, and see what we can extract from the devices, because maybe we cannot extract them all. There's something that we need to feed from a spreadsheet or something. Maybe the devices do not expose all of these parameters. How much we can extract through OpenConfig, how much we can extract through TAPI, and how much we can expose through TAPI. So I think I would have to sit down with the GNPy guys and maybe invite them to this call at some point and see how the integration flows. So that's one of the next steps for myself.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach actually.
Oh, because I mean, I took a look at I took a look at the initial tool, and the elements are very much there in terms of capabilities of computing, and they've already introduced very many optical models inside the tool that are very good from at least my perspective, because so that we don't have to do them in ONOS again. But yeah, I would need to take a look at that too. And if you guys have any knowledge about it or any thought or how we should do it, the good thing is that it's an open source tool, and so we can leverage open source software also in from that perspective.
Just a comment to that, Andrea. It's Kevin here.
Hi.
The leader of the GM Pi project in TIP is actually one of my colleagues in my team in Juniper. So I can also look to drag him into this if you want to talk directly. Obviously, you've been talking to a lot of his developers, but I actually know the guy who runs the project.
Okay, that would be great. I think I met him during OFC. Was he there?
Yeah, probably. It's Gert Grammel. He may have met you. I tried to meet you, but my timing never quite worked out. I saw some of your presentations, but I didn't get to meet you in person.
Oh, that was too bad. But yeah, I think I met him. We
Okay.
exchanged a few like words, but I think that having him on a proper sit down and discussing these points would be very good. So Kevin, if you could do that, that would be great.
Yeah, I can set that up. I'll send an email after this call.
Okay, thanks. Let me do this. Oops. Okay. So then what I had was that I presented the demo, same demo, but just the two Cassini without the Rodom at the OCP summit, and to, to a very good surprise, there were a lot of people interested. I thought it was more about the compute, but instead it was very much about networking too. And a lot of people came up and asked questions about the demo, asked questions about ODTN. So I hope that through these demos we can gather a lot more traction, a lot more people interested in the project, and can take a very good step forward. One last element that I want to say at this point is that I was very glad that Fujitsu committed drivers for phase 1.0 ODTN. So it's a first step. It's not phase 1.5, so they cannot work with OLS, but at least they have started working on a driver for their transponder that is capable of enabling the cross connection inside the transponder from client side to line side. And they tested phase 1.0 and it works. So I'm pretty happy about that. I will continue work with them to make sure that they go to phase 1.5. And also very interesting that they contribute also the GNMI version. because the right now.
Andrea,
Mm-hmm.
and this Fujitsu driver, netconf driver. Okay, so
Yeah.
the Fujitsu transponder supports netconf and not gRPC. Is that correct?
They support both.
Both of them.
So Suraj from Fujitsu was asking me about. Let me see if I can find the patch. Here it is. There it is. So basically, what they did was starting this set of things with netconf because they wanted to get it in for OFC. I think they showed it the demo. The problem is that they wanted to do it with GNMI, which is actually what they were striving for, but the implementation of GNMI in ONOS is not yet, was not like a month ago up to par to enable this. There were some problems with the connections. Now Carmelo fixed that, so I'm going to ask them to also look into doing the GNMI version. But at least we have an implementation of their work on ODTN with the Onefinity transponder. I have to follow up about the comments that I left, and it's all a work in progress. But I have very good hopes that we can merge this in the next couple of weeks. So we're adding another transponder to the lineup of our possible equipment. And obviously this has to work with the phase 1.5 too, so they will have to make a flow rule programmable. But I mean, that's fairly, that's work that can be done. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. Arturo, as I was saying before, I was not able really to follow up on what's the state of our merging of stuff into TAPI. Do you have an update?
Yeah, the power proposal was accepted, and I think it's merged in the current development branch. I think no, it's already merged. And I have another issue open regarding the OSNR monitoring, but this is something that probably will go or for the next release candidate or directly into the next release of TAPI. So for, let's say, more urgent part that it was this power proposal is already in release candidate.
Okay, do you have any update on the state of the release?
Not actually, because today I couldn't join the call. I don't know if it was cancelled and I didn't notice, but I was there in the bridge at the time and it was not there anybody, so I don't actually know what's happened. I have asked to Karthik, but Karthik is in Sydney today, and I probably he didn't saw my mail, and that's why they also didn't join the call. But as I didn't receive the mail, I don't really know which is the status. So I don't exactly know when it's going to be the date of the official release of this
Okay.
release.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. Let me maybe follow up with Kartik about it and see what the state is of that. Even though, I mean, yes, for the power is very important, and we will probably look at exposing that also through ONOS to the northbound, maybe. But we can discuss that as soon as Kartik also joins back. Okay, so let me go through the Jira stories a little bit. So the OFC phase 1.5 demo, I'm gonna move it to resolved. That's done. I just need to record it, but from a demo perspective, that's done. I'm also pushing some fixes that I've done during the integration for the demo. I've been pushing them to the code base of ONOS. It's just that it takes a little bit of time because I'm splitting them up in a few commits, not to make everything collapsed. Okay, so that's done. I'm still working on the multi-instance. I'm still working on the release. Again, multi-instance. Bujan, do you want to talk a little bit more with us about the testing that you've been doing? Bujan, I think you're muted.
Yeah. Not yet. I think maybe we could talk about that in the next weekend because I need several days to complete all the testing.
Can you just give us an update on what you're doing, just to let people know on about what you're doing?
All right. From now, I have two works, and the first one is to test the ISTC environment to deploy the ODTN automatically, and the second thing is to integrate Stratum or P4 environment into the ODTN project. Yeah, that's all I do.
Yeah, just for people to know about what the P4 runtime thing is that we might be looking at leveraging some of the work that is done in the Stratum project to have a fully open source network operating system on top of the Cassini box. That's an option, definitely, that we are looking into. It's something that it's definitely not there yet. It's all in discussions, and we don't know even if it's possible. We think it is. It's just a matter of finding out the proper tooling. So that's why I thought Buyan is also looking into that. But the main contribution for now will be the STC tests that will test a multi-instance ONOS deployed. The apps are active, that the REST interface from the northbound is there, that there are no errors in the logs. Then what it will do, it will push some emulators to ONOS, some IPs, make sure that ONOS finds the topology inside himself, but also exposes the proper topology through TAPI. Then it will push an ADVA, the emulator from ADVA, and make sure that it exposes the proper topology also there. Then it will ask for a connectivity service, the two connectivity services, making sure that the emulators will receive the netconf calls and the REST call, and that they have the proper configuration from ONOS. And then what it will do is that it will ask the TAPI connectivity service from the northbound of ONOS, making sure that it's there, that no errors went into the compilation, and that all of these elements to make sure that we have a stable platform that is tested against regression. So that's what Buyan is working on. Since Alessio joined the call, hey Alessio, thanks for joining, and thanks for our good week at OFC. I would like to ask you first if you have any comments from OFC from another perspective. I gave my overview at the start of the call, but if you have any thoughts, any comments, I would like to hear them.
Hello, Andrea. Hello all. No, I have no additional comments. I enjoyed the demo zone. We had the possibility to work together for also in the tip at the exhibition. So it's been nice, and I guess the work is going well.
Yeah, thanks, Alessio. Do you want to give us a little bit of an update on then your patch, which is, let me find it.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yes, I just uploaded the last revision where I have addressed the comments provided by Ramon. Essentially, the driver considered to say a quite generic model of an open config transponder, where and it is able to configure both the line side and the client side. And I have tested it with both unidirectional and bidirectional intents, and so it is how to say compliant with the compilation of the optical intents in the core of ONOS. So it accepts from from the core the flow rules coming from the compilation of the optical circuit intent, that is the one between the client lines, and the flow rules arriving from the compilation of the optical connectivity intent. From what I understood, the work on the northbound interface is compliant with this approach, in the sense that the TAPI connectivity services will be mapped and is already something that is already in the distribution, is mapped in an optical connectivity intent up to now, and will be mapped in the pair of optical connectivity and optical circuit. I have some assumptions here that I have documented in the files that are still, to say, a limit, in the sense that I'm assuming that the names of the port use a specific, to say, a specific approach, we can say. This facilitates me in doing the correlation between the port, the channels, the logical channels, and so on. However, so these are quite, to say, simple assumptions that can be, to say, applied very easily when someone is developing the young model. It is essentially it is an assumption of the naming of the ports. I guess for a, to say, more stable version, we can fix this point going for a, to say, generic naming. But I guess, in my opinion, this is a good starting point that we can from which we can I guess we can merge and try to test also with other agents, because we have tested with our open config agents, and they have also uploaded how to say, an example of the XML data store that we are using in a folder that is, I guess, if I well understood, devoted for this kind of examples. Yes, essentially what they've discovered implementing the driver is that for supporting the multiplexing of many circuit intent inside a thing called connectivity intent, that is something that is required because typically the muxponders, the transponders have many client ports and one or few line ports. So to support this kind of multiplexing, there will be necessary to implement also another behavior in the driver that is something like a tributary slot behavior. And I can have a look on this in the future, in the next weeks, we can say. Andrea?
Thanks, Alessio. That was a great overview. So what I would like you to do, if possible, to make sure that people understand what we are discussing, is that for next week or whenever you can, prepare 3 slides. One with an overview of like what the patch can be used for. So like what's the workflow, in the sense that, okay, we receive a TAPI connectivity request, and then it's split down into these calls, and my patch enables this and this. Okay.
Yes, but I can. But in the next Tuesday, I'm not in the office. Or yes, I don't know. Let me check. No, yes.
Yeah,
No. I have to check.
Okay,
I have to check. Otherwise, I will send these slides to you, and we can discuss offline, so you can present. Okay,
or you can present it the next time. The second one is so I would like 3 slides. The second one is also what assumptions, like to exactly state the assumptions that you are making for the ports, so we can take a look at them and make sure that either we agree on them or we try and make modifications to them, so we can have a normal behavior without these assumptions. The third one is a proposal for the tributary slot, but that can be done also at a later time. So I think an overview of the patch and the assumptions against the ports is the most important thing, so that we can discuss them in the call. Then the proposal for the tributary slot behavior will come later. What I will personally do is that for the same call or next call, I will make a proposal on how we would need to compute, or at least try to configure the power from an ONOS perspective. So at least we have some proposal to take it to the next step. Just for everybody, the idea behind Alessio's patch is really to remove some of the previous code from phase 1.0, basically removing the terminal device class that was not done through flow rules. it was done through netcfg. And instead, what we plan to do is to move the code, which does the exact same thing, creating a logical channel assignment. Instead of having that in the terminal device class, have that in the flow rule programmable class. And the flow rule programmable now receives for phase 1.5 for example, the Nokia transponder and Cassini just receives one flow rule, which is the one taking care of the wavelength assignment. Instead, with Alessio's patch, would receive, I think, 2 flow rules. Alessio, please correct me if I'm wrong. But one for the logical channel assignment and one for the wavelength.
Yeah. Yes. Well, essentially, the first one is what you have mentioned in the previous case, no? That is the activation of the line port with the tuning of the frequency. And the second one indicates the association, the assignment between the client port and the line port, so that the traffic coming from a specific client port is directed to a specific line port.
Yeah, basically enable that cross connection.
Yeah.
Okay. That was, I think, all on my side. Does anybody have any questions, any thoughts?
Can I ask about the next steps?
Yes, that's a very good question, Hiroki. So I think for the next steps, as I was discussing before, I think that we can take a look at Alessio's proposal and see if that enables us to collapse some of the code that we have. Second step is to...
Okay. I heard that. I know it, but I ask one thing. Do you have any plan or idea about the ONF new configurational feature project?
Yes, I can share about that. So what Hiroki is mentioning, let me see if I have it somewhere. Yes, perfect. Here. So what Hiroki is mentioning is that at ONF, we have this. We are launching this project, which is called the Next Generation Configuration Subsystem, which basically is completely new iteration on top of, or completely new iteration of the configuration work that needs to be done against devices. It's a project that will be completely new code base, will be written in Go, and will be containerized and dockerized and deployed through Kubernetes. And the whole idea is that we will offer a configuration manager that exposes GNMI interfaces to the southbound and to work with netconf devices.
Andrew, can you zoom out this figure?
Sure, I can do that.
All right, thank you.
The idea is, again, as I said, we're going to have a GNMI southbound to this component, and if it's needed against some of netconf devices, we will write a small GNMI server with netconf wrapper to enable that. But the whole point is that this configuration subsystem needs to enable a few things that are key milestones for our project, which are first and foremost, the capability to apply, to have transactionality. Means that we need to have the capability to apply a set of operations to a device in an all or nothing approach. If it goes, all of them. If it doesn't, we roll back all of them. So the two key components that will be put as a first step of this configuration system are the ability to apply a batch of operations to one single device, which is provided by GNMI already, and with multiple devices. That will be something that is an engine that we as ONF will write. Then we will need to track we will need also to provide a way of tracking the configuration changes to enable the rollback. So on top of these two features, we will also add on like in the same system through the APIs, the ability of preload configuration, dry run the configuration against some models, and have a possibility of importing existing device configuration with the ultimate end goal of having a configuration intents, with the idea to like translate high-level network-wide configuration to low-level specific device operations. That's the end goal. To do this, we would need something similar to this, meaning like a configuration manager with a store that saves the configuration and is capable of doing delta get of the configuration, and also delta computation against a certain history. And we will expose a GNMI northbound server with the GNMI with the Yang models of the devices. We will start with OpenConfig, which is very much aligned with ODTN, and we will use also GNMI on the southbound. Why GNMI? Because it already provides the transactionality that we need on a single device. So GNMI already, if you give him a set of operations that it needs to be applied to a certain device, has an all or nothing approach. Do they go? Yes. Do they not? We stop everything, we roll back. We need to properly do that transactionality against multiple devices. So if anybody's interested, just drop me an email. I can definitely forward you this document, and we can have another conversation on it. I can maybe try and allocate some time in one of the future next ODTN calls to maybe talk more about it. The whole idea is that we will start very simply with first integration and transactionality against one single device, and then we will continue on more devices with more Yang models. The Yang models will be compiled through YGOT, which is a Yang to a Go/protobuf compilation, because we want to not have objects in the store, but have a text-based store, which is much easier to do deltas against and to do configuration history against. Hiroki, did that answer a little bit of your question?
Thank you very much. And could you share the link of this document later?
Yes.
Oh.
Absolutely. Actually,
thank you. And do you have any milestone or planning to outreach any conference?
That's a very good question. I was discussing this with Thomas the other day, and we are at the very first stages of discussion and not even implementation, so we don't have a target yet. We hope that we can progress fast with the help of community, but I cannot give you a date right now. Sorry about that.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Let me put here. And please do put any comments in the document that if you're interested, because we are very much interested in any feedback and any comment. Okay. Any other questions? Any other thoughts?
Let me give one thing. I had to say that, but unfortunately, this is the last time I can continuously join this meeting, since I have to leave United States and to go back to Japan from next week. And it is difficult to join this call from Japan because of the time zone. And I'm very happy to hear ODTN great progress and the outreach of OFC and OCP. I really appreciate it. And I really hope you further successful achievement. And it's difficult to join this meeting, but we will keep contributing this project. So please keep in touch and have continuously collaboration to the open transport community with each other. Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry to hear that you have to go back to Japan, but I know it's for the best, also for the continuation of your work in your career. So I'll definitely want to keep in touch and definitely want to contribute to continuously work with you, Hiroki. And thanks for your contribution up to this point. And I know it will be more even in the future. So thanks for that. As always, the call is recorded, so you can always listen to the recording if you're interested. And we might even look at doing maybe one in some time in a more Asia-friendly time. I might think about it. I might come up with some plan about this to move it to maybe one a month into an Asia friendly time. I would need to think about this.
Thank you very much, and we'll keep updated. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. Any other thoughts? Any other comments? Okay. If not, thanks everybody for joining, even though I sent the reminder late. Was really good discussion. I think we have achieved very much with the OFC and OCP demos and the state of the project so far, and we have also very much to achieve in the future. And we are good. We are set on a very good track to keep the project going and to make it even better. So thanks a lot everybody for that. I'll see you guys next week. We're gonna have it at the same time next week. I'll be sure to send a reminder a little bit earlier than the same morning. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys. Bye.